feel like I should be standing and dancing.
Friday was teaching out in Carysford. I was working in the bank. 2 paychecks every Friday and a Mars minor.
Good morning.
But I was mad for jigs and
If it's 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, it's time for This Week in Waukesha. I'm your host, Alderman Don Browne, but you can call me Don. And that was the Funky K-Lee by Black 47 in honor of St. Patrick's Day week here in Waukesha. And proud to say I'm Waukesha's favorite Irishman. No disrespect, Mayor Riley. So, but anyway, sorry. Today we are honored to have as our guest Alderperson Elizabeth Moulton, who I believe was not born to play the Funky K-Lee, but she is Waukesha born and bred and a graduate of Waukesha South High School. And can anyone guess why I've mentioned Beth's affiliations with Black Shirt Nation?
Good morning, Don. I cannot guess why you want.
Sure you can. The basketball team.
Oh, yes.
Our mighty Black Shirts men's varsity team bested the First Nationals of McGuanago in Burlington in the house that Tony built in overtime, 45-43. Tonight at 7 p.m., they play the Eagles of Racine Case in McGuanago, and the winner of that game goes to state. So, again, the legend, the year to remember continues for our beloved Black Shirts. And congratulations to Coach Bo Richter and his men, their parents, families, and all the alumni of Black Shirt Nation that have really gone hog wild in their support. It really is an exciting time, and looking forward to telling you more about it. I was there at the game last Thursday night. Senior Marshawn Robinson led the Black Shirts with 12 points. Tyron Cook had 11 points, and the game-winning assist to Brady Hennis, who scored the game-winning basket and added 8 points. And a very exciting game, and looking forward to more fun tonight in McGuanago. So, anyway, Beth, we're delighted to have you here. Beth is my colleague on the city council. And what else should we say? Oh, Beth and I were also, I guess, on the losing side of the redistricting initially when that was announced last fall. But fortunately for Beth, incumbent Steve Johnson, his election is not till next year, so Beth gets to run for the 8th district. Steve hangs on to the 10th district, and I understand he's not going to be seeking re-election. Is that true? Do you know?
He said that he's retiring, but of course the decision's up to him, and he'll decide that a year from now.
Sounds great. Terrific. So, but let's start, Beth. Why did you decide to run? I guess that was in 2019. And why are you running for re-election?
Well, I super love this city. I grew up here. My predecessor gave a lot of notice when he gave up his seat, so it gave me time to think about it. It's a wonderful way to serve the community, and you look for a volunteer opportunity to use your talents to benefit the city. And I got some priorities I'd like the cities to work on, such as sustainability and walkable neighborhoods and building resiliency. And I think our city is very responsible that way. So one of my things that I'm very proud of is gaining sustainability goals for the city's comprehensive plans that's coming out in 2022. So I look forward to working on those types of goals. I just really love the job, and I like the campaigning, and I like helping my citizens and constituents solve problems. So I like the job. I'd very much like to be reelected.
Sounds great. Hey, before we continue, just want to extend our apologies to the listeners. We're still working out some audio issues here. For anyone that's a fan of the Talking Heads, when you've seen the movie Stop Making Sense, that's kind of the approach where, like with David Byrne coming out on the stage by himself with his guitar and a boombox, that's kind of what we're working on here at Walk Radio. So we appreciate your patience and better days to come. But back to Beth. How has the redistricting shaped your approach to leading your redesigned district, and how has this impacted your reelection campaign? I imagine there's been a lot of pivots and a lot of new neighbors to meet.
Yes, exactly. I think about 40% of my people are new to the 8th district, so I spent a lot of time, nights and evenings, and that process is ongoing just to introduce yourself. And some people don't know they've been redistricted, and I know the city has attempted to communicate with them, but it's a change, and I just have enjoyed meeting the new people, but it's not. You start at a different point from the people that you've already met and that you've already been working with. So it's an ongoing process.
Terrific. And you've enjoyed meeting some of the new folks?
Oh, they're wonderful. Some people wonder what you're doing because there's not a lot of occasions to bang on everybody's door, but it's a wonderful insight into what people are thinking.
Terrific. So, what else was I going to? Oh, what would you say has been your biggest accomplishment as a council member?
Well, I think the sustainability one is my favorite, but there's lots of other things. I'm on the finance committee, so we've been through the budget with a fine-tooth comb, and I understand that the city is very fiscally responsible, and we've done a lot of big projects with the interest rates being so low, but I think those are tapering off, and we'll just continue to maintain the city more as a maintenance thing instead of a big project thing.
Sounds good. Jason, how close are we to break?
We're about, we got about 5 minutes or so. But
Sounds great. Okay, good. I want to make sure I'm on track here. So, sure. I noticed too, Beth, you've had a pretty extensive career in the legal industry, and I believe it too. You were a full-time mom. Is that correct?
I was a full-time mom when the kids were younger. At the time, my husband was an Air Force pilot, so he did a lot of traveling for a living. So our consistency at home was me raising the children, and I super enjoyed getting a chance to do that. As I got back into the workforce, I became an assistant to a number of lawyers over the years, and I've been very fortunate that that's been successful for me.
Sure. And how has this shaped your worldview and your work as a council member? Because that's pretty unique, full-time mom, but also some extensive work in the legal industry.
I think you just need to learn to listen to lots of different people and let them hear their ideas and why they think that, and make sure that you make your own decisions from a well-rounded perspective, that lots of people have something to offer, and you just need to pay attention.
Sounds great. Terrific. Hey, and then before I forgot, I mentioned it's Irish American Heritage Month and St. Patrick's Week coming week, but it's also Women's History Month here in March, and I know that
I did not know that
women's causes are important to you. And so, what would you believe you're doing in your work at the local level to promote women's issues?
Well, sometimes it's just lead by example. There aren't very many women on the council, and sometimes if you just do it, other people can see themselves in that role. So I would encourage any woman, or actually anyone that's interested in serving on the council. It's a wonderful experience. You learn all about the city. There's so much more work going on behind the scenes than I knew about in the past. And we have such dedicated public servants working at the city that I'm very supportive of their operations. I would like a range, excuse me, I'd like a range of people to be on the council. One of the reasons I like having such a large council is you get better representation with lots of different viewpoints from lots of different areas of the city. So I would not be supportive of lowering the number of council members, even though wrangling the 15 of us can be a little bit difficult for the city. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it does, actually. So, hey, then, Beth, the election for our city council and some of the local elections are April 5th. So mark, your calendar. But another date I want to point out to everybody is March 22nd. And that's the day that in-person absentee voting becomes available. That starts Tuesday, March 22nd. It goes Friday through April 1st, 8 a.m. to 4:30. And then on the last day, Friday, April 1st, April Fool's Day, it goes till 5 p.m. And I encourage everybody, especially those concerned about fair elections, show up in person at the clerk's office in City Hall and get the job done. Gina Kozlik, the clerk, and her team, they work with very high integrity. And to me, I think that's the greatest way to guarantee getting your vote in, rocking the vote, and not worrying about any type of nonsense. But we're hoping to have Gina on the show, and she's been in communication to talk about how Waukesha handles its elections, how they train the judges, and it's always been a very dignified and high integrity process. So I want to, and I'm sure Elizabeth agrees with me that get out and vote. Your vote counts. And trust the system and the process. And for any questions, definitely give Gina a call in the clerk's office or anyone at the clerk's office at City Hall or show up in person. So terrific. What is next here for Beth? So yeah, what else have you been doing with the campaign? What kind of fun have you been having, or any events or?
It has been fun. I do want to echo your thoughts about Gina. She's a wonderful clerk. She does a great job. She's more than happy to show you how the process works and where the ballots live and how they take it step by step. And if you got an absentee ballot, please mail it back as soon as possible. As far as the fun on the campaign trail, I've got a couple of candidate meet and greets coming up. I've done a lot of canvassing. I developed all of my campaign literature in the past month so that I could spend the month of March meeting the voters and talking to them while they're, in anticipation of the election. If you talk to people too early, they're not ready to talk about it, and of course you run out of time because I have about 1,100 addresses in my district,
Sure.
and I'm attempting to talk to each one, or at least give them an opportunity. And if anybody would like to call, my phone number is, of course, on the city website.
Sounds great. Sure. Well, we're going to jump to a quick break, but stick around. We have more to discuss with Alderperson Elizabeth Molson of the 8th District.
So here I am up in Bainbridge Avenue, still in one piece, but glad I'm alive. Drinking dirty big glasses of porter, playing me cheese and me reels and me schlites. I should fall for grace of God, where no doctor can relieve me if I'm buried beneath the sod, but the angels won't receive.
Go, boys.
Let me go down in the mud where the river's all a
And we're back. This week in Waukesha, I'm your host, Don Browne, here at the Walk Radio Studios, also known as the future office of former Alderman Don Browne. That's right, the Mar-a-Lago of the Midwest. But instead of focusing on make America great again, I want to make Waukesha more Irish, or Irish again, if it ever was. And helping me out there was Shane McGowan and the boys from the Pogues with If I Should Fall from Grace with God. So, but looking forward to another great week. To celebrate St. Patrick's Week, I've been asked to fill in for Matt Flynn on his morning show, Matt Flynn Direct, from 6 to 8 in the morning. So if you're not getting enough of downtown Donnie Brown here, come check me out. It's 6 to 8 Monday through Friday next week. It's going to be all about Waukesha, and also some tributes to St. Patrick's Day here in Waukesha. But in particular, what's most important to us people as Waukesha residents, and how we can build a more connected community. So we're back with our host, Alderperson Elizabeth Molson, or Beth Molson. You go by Beth too, right? Not
I do.
just for your peers and colleagues.
My friends call me Beth.
There you go. So terrific. Well, Beth, what was I going to ask? Oh, well, first, yeah. What small businesses would you like to call out? Because we're very much about promoting small business here on This Week in Waukesha and on Walk Radio.
Well, we do have a lot of wonderful small businesses in Waukesha. I love the Rochester Deli there. They'll make you a wonderful lunch every time you go over there. And Mia's, of course, for any kind of Italian food or the neighborhood bar. I like the salty toad, but I tend to leave before all the kids show up. We've just got come and explore. I love the idea of just coming on out and seeing what we have. It's a good way to get out of the house and meet your neighbors.
Nice, cool. Yeah, I had some really good, very positive small business experiences yesterday. Last night we got our fish fry from Sobelman's, and that process was excellent. They have you wait by the fish tank there next to the bar, and they get your food out on time, and it was still hot and delicious when I came home. A good fish fry there. I forgot what my youngest daughter had, but anyway, it was a great experience. And what was really neat was the atmosphere there, because they had the Badger game on in the Big Ten tournament. Even though they lost to my beloved Spartans, the Badgers definitely they always play tough, and it was really fun to see that atmosphere down at Sobelman's. And then earlier in the day yesterday, had a wonderful visit at Replacement Window Center that just moved in at 1825 Dolphin Street, just down the road from Ray's Grain. So a lot you can do down there. You can go source some windows or siding, or meet with their home improvement specialist, and then stop by Ray's Grain. They open, especially on Fridays, they open up early for lunch. So a great way to spend a Friday. And then, of course, just really excited about what's going on downtown here. Really excited that Toffee's will be expanding.
Yes.
And I know we'd approve some of that in council. And well, back to your campaign. I was trying to do a little homework on your challenger, your opponent, challenger Stephen Green, and again with St. Patrick's Week, not to be confused with Stephen's Green, the beautiful park in Dublin where I spent a lot of time when I was working there. I could only find one item on him when I Googled him, and rather than it was a litigation involving the city. But what do you know about your opponent, or how much what kind of traction do you see out there in the field?
Well, I don't want to give him very much
Sure.
airtime.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. No, that's fair. But
I know that he lives in the former part of District 8, so I don't know what his situation is for actually living in the new district. And I know that he's had a lot of disputes with the city over the years. He's not an especially good rule follower. So I don't see evidence of him campaigning. I just know that from my perspective, all I can do is talk to the voters, do my very best job, reach out, do the work it takes to introduce myself and share what I believe, and leave the choice to the voters. So I'm very hopeful that they would consider me for the job.
Sure.
And if they don't, it's completely up to them. I would like to serve, but I do it at the consent of my constituents.
At the pleasure of the people.
Yes.
Good. Hey, now in your first term as alderman, what kind of constituent calls have you seen, like complaints or concerns that kind of resonate with you, or things that you felt you've addressed effectively, or felt that the city maybe needs to work on moving forward?
I found that the city is very responsive about various concerns that I've had. Some of them are zoning or parking, or excess trash in the neighborhoods, or people leaving mattresses out, or things like that. And the city has got very clear rules on that, and they are very fair and very thoughtful to my constituents. That if there is a problem, they try and work it out with them, rather than come in as a heavy-handed. They try to help. Because both parties are my constituents. The ones, someone's complaining about someone, but both of them are my neighbors and my constituents. So I want to be very responsive to the people that are identifying problems, but I also want to be very conscious of the people that are, the problem creators, that we work with them and we give them time to solve the problem, and try and understand the problem, and try and see how we can help solve the problem. And sometimes you can do it in a lot of different ways. But my typical complaints are parking, or loud dogs, or, trash issues. It's kind of the everyday, I live here kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we just work together to solve these problems. But you have to remember that everybody everybody is part of the district, not just the loud ones.
Yeah. Very good. Love that. So you have a lot of loud ones out there in Madison, don't you, Jason? So anyway, we're going to go to a break soon, but before we do, there is one quick announcement. Again, since today is also all about Waukesha South, the Waukesha South Booster Club is having their Raise the Bar fundraiser on Saturday, April 2nd, at the Loft on Blue Mound across from the airport, and encourage everyone to check that out that is a fan of South Nation. So we're going to go pay some bills, but stick around. We have more to discuss with Alderperson Beth Moltzen.
How could I have forgotten about the garbage situation?
Yeah.
Bury me at sea where no murder ghosts can haunt me. If I rock upon the waves, no coast can lie on me. Coming up threes, boys, coming up threes, boys. Let them go down in the mud where the rivers are dry. If I should fall from grace of God, where no doctor can relieve me. If I'm buried beneath the sod, still the angels won't receive me.
And we're back.
This week in Waukesha. Again, I'm your host, Alderman Don Browne, here with my colleague, Alderperson Elizabeth Moltzen of the newly redecorated 8th District. And as an ode to the Badgers on a great basketball season, we heard some jump around, and also in honor of St. Patrick's Week, some great Irish rap. And Beth also has a Wisconsin connection. You graduated from Eau Claire, right?
I did.
So even though you're a Blue Goat, you're allowed to root for the Badgers, right?
I sure am.
So, yeah. And in spite of the loss to my beloved Spartans, you can count on the Badgers getting a pretty high seed in the tournament in March Madness coming up when it really counts. So
That'll be exciting.
yeah. So, but speaking of counting, Beth, there's people that are running, challengers that are running, whether it's running against Lisa Selb, running against the mayor, or some of the other aldermanic races. There's this talk about our taxes going up. I guess they've gone up 7%, and then even business taxes for some people, I've heard numbers like 24%. And again, we approved these budgets together. I mean,
Yeah, we do.
I believe it was unanimous. And what's your take on it? Like, what do you want the public to know and your constituents to know about how the city is managing our finances? And
Well, thank you for asking me that question. I think with the time of very low interest rates, it was the time to do some of these big construction projects. And one of the ones that we didn't exactly plan as much as we do in advance was the police station project. Got to be a bigger project than we had originally intended. But sometimes when the rates are so low, it just pays to do it right. So I think all of our large projects have now been completed, or the police station is being completed, and we're back into more of a maintenance mode rather than a construction mode. So I think people will see as we pay off some of these bonds that the capital portion of the budget will be more restrained in the upcoming years, and not next year, but the year after we'll start to see those taxes going down as those projects are paid off. But it is the right time and smart financing for future growth of the city to make sure that these capital projects are done in a timely manner, and especially when the interest rates are so low.
good point. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for answering that. And also one of the big ticket items, which was approved during our first term together, was the renovations at Buckner Park and Pool. And I voted in favor of that, and I received some flack from my constituents. And I'll speak to that in a second. But obviously, since that's in your district, would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, we obviously in our district, we really appreciate the investment in our neighborhood, but we don't think of the Buckner Park as our neighborhood park. We feel like it's a community resource for the community. So please come on out to Buckner Park. It's a wonderful resource. That's been very popular. It's great to hear the kids playing in the summer again. With that quiet year was just kind of sad. I mean, it was the pandemic, and we wouldn't have been able to go anyway. But to have Buckner Park silenced was just kind of sad. So come on out and enjoy this. Come see this facility. Come use it. One of the things the public could do is all of the programming that's happening at Buckner Park. If sign up for something and try it. And if their waiting list is full, please go ahead and go on the waiting list, because that's how the Parks Department knows where the needs are and can respond appropriately. So if you see something you like, come on out and try it.
Thank you. And I got to say, I did not get a chance to go to Buckner Park last summer because, well, my daughter had a lot of softball tournaments, but also every available day there was a line out the end of the street to get in. So it's exciting to see that support and the excitement. But I also believed in the way the model, the design of Buckner Park, even prior to the renovations. First of all, I think our park systems are among the great jewels of our city.
Agreed.
But Buckner Park in particular, as a neighborhood park, is a real model for what a good neighborhood park should look like. Having, I know they have like kickball leagues and softball there in the summer with the diamond
and volleyball.
And it's neat. They got the lights on, and there's grown men and women playing kickball. And the neighbors don't see that as an intrusion. In fact, a lot of them sit on their porch and watch, and it's just such a great neighborhood atmosphere. And then now with this renovated park, with the aquatic treatment and a lot of those physical therapy activities for seniors, and I guess for kids of all ages.
Right.
And the renovated pool, and also the indoor facility where they can have events here, people can have events year round. I thought it was a great move, in spite of the costs associated with it, because, as long as there's always been a body of water there. Originally it was like a pond or a lake.
It did come in about $1 million under budget.
And great. And it came in $1 million under budget. But I think it's something that it's a long-term investment in something that, again, is one of the great jewels, not only for your neighborhood, but for the community.
And a chance to pay it forward.
Yes, exactly. So, but
great. It's a wonderful community resource. Sure. If you haven't come on out this year, because there's a lot going on, and it's one of the times we can have fun together.
Absolutely. So, hey, speaking of together, I know I wanted to make some announcements in April. I believe it's the week before, sometime in April, Mike Talaska, our forestry supervisor, will be coming in to talk about the tree program and give some tips to neighbors on how they can best take care of their own trees.
Good choice.
Yeah, Mike is a wealth of great knowledge and inspiration when it comes to trees in our environment. So
and the urban forest,
him.
yes.
Yep. So and then next Saturday, I do believe that's confirmed, we have the new executive principal at La Casa de Esperanza, Pascual Rodriguez, will be joining us, and really excited to have him here. He's working on a different campaign, enrolling students, and also the expansion there as they develop a middle school program, and really excited to introduce you to a longtime friend, and really glad to have him part of the Waukesha community. Pascual Rodriguez from La Casa de Esperanza, next Saturday, the 19th. So, Beth, what would you say are maybe the biggest challenges the city faces right now that you feel, especially with one term under your belt, that you could address going into a second term, that you could bring some advantages to?
I'd like to address that in two ways. One is, of course, we've got the fixed borders because of the water situation. So we're going to have to be very, very creative about housing and density, and those kinds of things are going to have a lot of different people with a lot of different ideas. So I think that's going to be a big challenge for us. It's very difficult for these developers to create anything affordable without the TIF financing, and then we got to be very careful and cautious about using our city resources that way, because it puts a strain on the budget that we don't necessarily want. So that's going to be a big challenge for us, and I just think we need a lot of creativity with either accessory units or mother-in-law suites or things like that to aid people in trying to find good, safe, affordable housing. One answer to that is the Arrowshade property. Maybe we're working with Habitat for Humanity to maybe put in some small starter single-family homes there. So I'm hopeful that will get off the ground. And the second challenge is related to the parade tragedy. We're working on a memorial for that, and we'd really like to try and get it right. So if anybody in the public has any thoughts about that, please contact your alderperson and let them know what your thoughts are. Sure. We're currently looking at locations. We understand from our trauma response people that some the people that were affected by the parade are more helped by having a memorial at the parade site, and some people are more helped by having a memorial that is specifically not at the parade site. So we're trying to do something in 2 locations.
Sure.
But that's one of those community expressions of togetherness that we really need to try and get right. And
It's a great opportunity to build.
yes, and
yeah.
it's something we can
Teammate.
accomplish together to learn and grow from what a terrible tragedy
Yes.
that is. So we're working hard to try and get that right, and we'd
Sure.
love to have your thoughts.
Yeah, and Beth, I'm glad you mentioned that because yourself and I were the only 2 council members that marched in the parade alongside with the mayor. And our
Yes.
experience at the front of the parade, for those of you who are familiar with the Man in the High Castle, that what it was. We were in the alternative reality where it was this wonderful holiday parade. There were these great expressions, and it's always really cold, but you see all these smiling faces. You see a diverse mix of people in the parade attendance, and it's just a wonderful community event. And then, well, of course, we knew what happened after the fact. And yeah, and it's because I don't know if we had too many chances to talk about that after. I think we've had a few conversations, but for me, there's a little bit of there's a fair amount of survivor's guilt for sure, especially since I have a strong connection to Blazer Nations. Our kids grew up in the Blazers program, Waukesha South, and now Eric Teagues plays baseball with my son and and Tyler Pudliner too, and then Eric's also a neighbor. I had the opportunity of coaching those young men in fall ball for a couple games as a substitute coach, and so it certainly hits home. But do you have some of that kind of survivor's guilt that I have?
It's just so hard to understand, why such a thing would happen, and there's no answer for that. So we just have to sort of cope with the situation. And I got a chance to hand out about 200 of the blue light bulbs,
same
and
here.
that was
Yeah.
that was a wonderful
very therapeutic.
unifying.
Yep.
And when I knocked on doors to hand out the bulbs, a lot of people wanted to tell me their story, and it was we're crying together on the doorstep, and it's
Sure.
it's just. We just need to try and hold each other's hands and remember that we're
Yep.
all in this together, and be together as a community, and not
Love it.
not try and understand, because it's we're not capable of
Fair
understanding
enough.
something
You
like
bet.
that.
So, hey, we're going to cut to another quick break here, but stick around for the last segment with Alderperson Beth Molson. Much to discuss. Thanks.
Jump around, jump around, jump up and get down. Jump, 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 everybody jump, 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 jump. The island, it is silent now, but the ghosts still haunt the waves. And a torch lights up a famished man.
And we're back this week in Waukesha, here at the future office of former Alderman Don Browne. And you're listening to Thousands Are Sailing by the Pogues. I encourage everyone to listen to the song in full, including you, Jason. Tugs at the old heartstrings, especially if you're Irish. Hey, but we're back here with Alderperson Beth Molson. And before we begin, too, just want to remind everybody that tickets may still be available at McGuanago High School for our beloved Waukesha South Black Shirts, who are one game away from state competition if they beat Racine Case tonight. And a memo went out from Athletic Director Dan Schreier calling on all Waukesha High School and all Waukesha residents to support the team, and hope to see you out there, or at least check out the live stream. You should be able to find it on YouTube. And then also tonight, too, if you support Mayor Sean Riley, he has his event at Albanese starting at 4. It's a fundraiser and slash St. Patrick's Day party at Albanese's Roadhouse. So some great examples there of inclusion from our
There we go.
our mayor having a St. Patrick's Day party at an Italian restaurant. But he did tell us last week that Joe Albanese's mother is 100% Irish. So anyway, Beth, one thing I want to make sure I ask before we get too close to the end is, what is there one thing about you that you want everybody to know, or one question I have not asked that you want your constituents, you want the city to know? Why your constituents should vote for you on April 5th, or March 26th. Vote. Do the early voting, please. Take advantage of that, and why the rest of the city should support or at least engage with you more or pay more attention.
Well, I care very much about the city. I think I'm a good listener, and when I weigh these decisions, I try to do it from many different viewpoints. One of the recent things we had was some TIF financing for an apartment building. Oh, it's along the bypass there, and I voted no because I didn't want to use TIF financing for tearing up just a green space. So I feel like I'm very thoughtful. I care very much. And I love the job. And sometimes just, investing in it is one way to, show other people how much you care.
Sure. And we discussed earlier, too, about one of the advantages we have as council members and working in legislative roles or an executive role if you're the mayor is that these are nonpartisan positions. And you'd had some really good thoughts on why that's important and how we can build on that.
I would love us to maintain that nonpartisan atmosphere. We take all different points of view. We're very respectful to each other. Even, you can get ramped up emotionally sometimes, but we're still very respectful to each other. And I think that's a great way to have honest and good debate over the issues and solve problems together rather than, take sides based on who agrees with you the most. I mean, I think all of us on the council have had situations where, the council went a different direction than your point of view, but we don't keep score. We don't hold grudges. We just do our best to serve the city the best way we know how.
Terrific. Love that. And because you also mentioned too, you had a family friend relationship with a former state legislator who had some really sage advice about the importance of building bridges across political lines. Yes,
my parents have lived in Waukesha for many years. They went to Carroll University and never left. Well, at the time it was Carroll College, but Jody Hilsman is a friend of my parents, and she is kind of a role model for me and using what skills she has for citizen leadership and battling out, various problems and struggling through the hard conversations, but then, putting that aside and just having a friendship with the people afterward. People are not bad people. They have ideas you don't agree with, and you have to learn how to disagree effectively and consciously without losing the sense that the fact that they care very much about their constituents as well. So if everybody's working hard trying to come to a common ground, it's okay not to end up in the same place all the time. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to solve problems in a different way, and it's just a matter of everybody doing their best for the city. And I think I would say that all of our aldermen do that. They don't always agree with me, and I like it better when they do agree with me, but I think everybody does their best, and I would like to keep it that way. I don't want the local parties to get involved with the council. I know that they have strong viewpoints, but I'd also like us to maintain our level of civility. It's so important for, getting along and thoughtfully solving problems.
Terrific. Thank you. And sometimes there's one little zinger I like to throw out, especially with, do you have a question for me?
Yes. Why did you start this?
Well, I was approached by a mutual friend of ours, as well as somebody else that has contacts with the parent company in Madison. And he'd approach, it was our friend Kristen Hansen, and
Okay.
he approached her about his idea about buying this radio show in Waukesha and bringing back, he felt that there was a market here. They tried it in Milwaukee and it wasn't very successful, but they felt Waukesha is a diverse university community that once had a radio station, should have a radio media that's dedicated to all things Waukesha. And so Kristen had thought, she'd recommended me. As you may recall, one of the advantages or disadvantages to being a first district alderman is that the media always find you first on the
Sure.
website, and they call you. And at the time, I was already at home safely. I'd heard about, my wife had texted me on the way home about what was going on. And so, I started getting these calls, and I just felt there's some way I got to help. And so I did, but I was also really careful. I have a lot of media experience, and so I didn't, and so that's how I spent the rest of the night. And people had heard me on CNN and on all these other outlets, and I guess Kristen had felt that I'd handled it professionally and very well and represented the city well. And she thought that I could be a good resource for driving this, for leading this Week in Waukesha radio show, like a dedicated show that's all about Waukesha, as well as maybe helping to grow this product. And it's a good fit for, as you may know with my business, most of my clients are national, which gives me a lot of advantages and enables me to do things like serve our city as alderman. And so with me departing my seat in April, that I felt this would be a great fit, that I could continue serving the city, as well as having really kind of an active media outlet, a voice for the city to participate. So we're looking forward to more people getting involved. I grew up, we're in the same age group. We grew up in a time when most cities had 2 newspapers, so you had at least 2 political viewpoints. And now, and then it went down to 1 in the 80s for most cities, and now we're down to 0, or just very, a lot of these newspapers, and it's tragic, are hanging on by like the internet of things. And so we figured for a city like Waukesha that has just so much potential, again, a great university city, great diversity, a downtown that's starting to emerge. We felt that that this city deserved a media spot, and felt I was just very excited by the challenge, because I'd never really done radio before, except if you count the morning announcements in high school. So, but I think I always felt comfortable in front of a camera or a mic or in public sessions. And what I loved most about Alderman was the neighborhood meetings I would host, and getting the chance to get people together and build bridges. And it was exciting for me to introduce people that have lived in that same neighborhood for 50 years, like right around the corner, with kids the same age that they never met. And so it's, to me, building a more connected community is so important. And to be able to do this on a higher level is something I'm really excited about. So, I appreciate you turning the tables. So,
well, I appreciate your work, and we'll all...
So
we'll all, now we'll be listening every time.
Now you know where to find me. Yeah,
well, I know where to find
every
you.
Saturday, and then,
every Saturday while we're folding
this week
laundry,
from 6 to 8 too. Yeah. It's this week from 6 to 8 too, if you're coming out for coffee downtown. So, but yeah, we have about a minute and a half left, as Jason has informed me. But one last thing you'd like to say about Beth Molson? That what.
Well, if you see me out working hard canvassing, please stop and interrupt me and ask any question you'd like. I'll do my very best to answer.
Sounds great.
And I appreciate the support of the community.
Is there a Facebook page or website or any place they should go to learn more about you?
I have a website. My daughter teases me because I picked a really long name. It's Molson for Waukesha8th.com. So,
okay, 8th.com? Number 8th.com?
The number 8th.com.
Well, that's not so bad. If it was EIGHTH, so we're good. Yeah.
So I'm out there working hard, and I would very much like to talk to you.
Sounds great. And then, again, tonight at 7, the shirt I'm wearing is what the kids gave out from the team. It says, started from the bottom. Now we're on the backside. It says, now we're here. And it's a real tribute to a program that lost 60 straight conference games. Now they're 1 game away from state competition. So Alderperson Beth Molson, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much,
this Saturday. We look forward to join me 6 to 8 this week during the week. And remember, especially this St. Patrick's Day week,
go Black Shirts.
Safety. Go Black Shirts, and safety is everyone's responsibility. My empty room, I suppose I must have cried.
Thousands are sailing, a guy